Well, consumers are borrowing more to make up for a decline in income, and that's according to DebtBusters' latest report. It has revealed that it's even worse for consumers earning over 20,000 rand. But for more on this, I'm now joined by Chief Operating Officer at DebtBusters, that's Binay Sega, who joins me now from our Cape Town studios. Well, Binay, good to have you, and thank you for your time. I mean, this is quite worrying. Consumers borrowing more to make up for a decline in income, and we're seeing stats there revealing that it seems to be a number that's increasing annually. What causes all of this?
Thank you, Tamela, for having me and DebtBusters on the show. Unfortunately, I wish I had better news to share, but what we are seeing is that South Africans are being squeezed from all angles, to the extent that when we compare our 2019 incoming class of consumers who applied to DebtBusters for financial relief to 2015 class, we see that average net incomes have gone down compared to inflation, and people are finding themselves in a difficult spot for having to borrow more unsecured lending in the form of credit cards, personal loans, store cards and overdrafts to make up for the shortfall, to the extent that we see average levels of unsecured debt for the incoming consumers in 2019 to be about 40% more than those consumers in 2015.
You mentioned there, Binay, which is quite concerning to me, is the word unsecured lending or unsecured credit. Why is it that consumers opt for this route as opposed to a more of a secured credit?
Yeah, Tamela, our belief is that a lot of consumers really need this money in a quick way to really make up for the difference in terms of their incomes to pay for basic necessities. If you think about the transport costs, how they have gone up over the last several years, same with food prices and other necessities, consumers really need access to cash in the form of unsecured lending, and like we said, overdrafts, credit cards and so on, to be able to make up for the shortfall. Many of our consumers we find to be supporting multiple generations, and they were doing fine, and something unexpected happened, maybe a retrenchment or a big medical bill or a funeral that was unprovided for, and consumers are finding themselves to have to borrow to really make up for the shortfall.
And it's unfortunate that, of course, due to inflation and the slumping economy, that consumers have to make such negative and bad decisions, Binay. But I mean, just give us perhaps some tips on early warning signs that perhaps you could be in some debt trouble.
Yeah, what we always say to consumers is that if you are having trouble going to sleep at night because money is on your mind, if you're avoiding phone calls at work because someone is chasing you to get their money back, or most importantly, if you're really worrying about how you're going to make to the rest of the year with money coming in and coming out on the same day as your paycheck, we really think consumers should seek to find out the credit record. They should really sit down with families to do a proper budget, and that's why DebtBusters has decided to declare February as the National Debt Awareness Month, to get the conversation going about debt.
Absolutely, and I find it so significant that you're doing this straight after January, when you know that the month has been branded as the month where most people do not have finances and are just scrapping through whatever they have left. But it's important to have this conversation. Now, with that, the Debt Awareness Month, let's talk about then the benefits of debt management and also curbing it earlier on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important, firstly, for consumers to know where their debt situation is. Debt itself is the opposite side of the same coin as credit. If you don't treat your credit nicely and well, then it becomes debt. And when debt becomes too much to handle with, it becomes really a burden. And that's what we're trying to address here. All of us need debt. All of us borrow money in the form of mortgages or financing our vehicles for work or for some other means. It's only when the debt becomes a burden, it really becomes difficult for the consumers. So what we're trying to do is get the conversation going for consumers to really understand where they stand, what is their financial situation, speak to us, a debt counselor. Debt counseling has been around for a number of years, and if people are really struggling with their finances, they can pick up the phone, call us or other debt counselors, and really have an assessment on their finances and decide what are the range of options. There are a range of options available to consumers, but they usually don't know about it, and they generally go to borrow more money. And we believe for most consumers, that's not really the answer.
Well, let's hope that, of course, Debt Awareness Month will continue the conversation going, Binay, so that we can make more informed decisions. But thank you so much for joining us. That was the Chief Operating Officer at DebtBusters, Binay Sega.